US President Donald Trump has repeatedly made tough remarks when it comes to Iran. But when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, did Saudi Arabia force Washington to back off from a key operation? According to an NBC News report citing two US officials, Trump was forced to pause a major US naval escort operation after Riyadh refused to cooperate. As per the report, Saudi Arabia used its control over critical airspace and military access to push back against a plan it believed could drag the Gulf deeper into a direct conflict with Iran. And according to the report, Gulf allies were caught off guard after Trump announced Project Freedom, the US mission designed to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz. The operation was set to begin on Monday, remember, but the Saudi leadership reportedly informed Washington that the US military aircraft would not be allowed to use the Prince Sultan Air Base or even cross Saudi airspace to carry out that escort mission. The NBC News report says Trump personally called the Saudi Crown Prince in an attempt to reverse the decision. But the effort allegedly failed. With access to key Saudi airspace blocked, the US president was basically reportedly left with little choice but to pause the operation in order to restore military access to the region. And the development is significant because Saudi Arabia, remember, had earlier allowed US aircraft to operate from the same Prince Sultan Air Base during Operation Epic Fury against Iran, before the current temporary US-Iran ceasefire came into effect. At the same time, questions have been growing over the actual scale of the damage caused by the Iranian strikes. A Washington Post report based on satellite image analysis claims that Iran hit far more US military assets than Washington had publicly admitted. And the report also says at least 228 structures or pieces of equipment were destroyed across US military sites in the region. The scale of the Iranian strikes, if true, is perhaps unlikely to inspire confidence and also raise questions over America's ability to actually defend Gulf allies in a crisis. Even as these reports surface, the US is waiting for Iran reportedly to respond to a new proposal aimed at ending the war and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. According to Axios, Washington expects a response from Tehran within 48 hours. Iran says it is still reviewing the proposal, reportedly. The one-page draft agreement is reportedly set to include 14 points, including the gradual reopening of Hormuz, sanctions relief, limits on Iran's nuclear program. Meanwhile, the Iranian president has revealed details of his recent meeting with the supreme leader since he suffered severe injuries at the start of the US-Israeli war on Iran on the 28th of February. Listen to this.
I had the honor of meeting the dear leader. We spoke with him for nearly 2.5 hours. First of all, I should tell you that his views and the way he interacted were truly sincere and humble. For a leader to treat a person in such a manner, he genuinely had such a demeanor.
Shifting focus now to India after the assembly election results were declared in West Bengal. A chilling murder rocked the state. The personal assistant of BJP's Subhendu Adhikari was shot dead while returning from Kolkata to Madhyamgram. His car was reportedly intercepted by a vehicle with a fake number plate, after which motorcycle-borne assailants fired 4 bullets at him. Buddhadev Bera, who was driving the car, also suffered bullet injuries and remains in a critical condition. An SIT headed by an Inspector General rank officer has been formed to probe the murder. Meanwhile, the mortal remains were brought home from the hospital to his residence. Adhikari, remember, who is a key CM contender as well, alleged that this was a pre-planned murder.
No matter how much we condemn the way this murder was carried out, it is not enough. He was killed because he was my aide and I defeated in Bhabanipur. This could be the reason for his murder. I stand with his family, and the family's demand is to apprehend those who committed this murder and ensure they are punished. The post-mortem revealed that 4 bullets were fired at him. This murder was premeditated.
And in another case of post-poll violence, a clash broke out between BJP and TMC workers in Howrah, resulting in one person getting injured. Subsequently, the police brought the situation under control. Now, it's important to note here that the BJP will be choosing its CM face on Friday, followed by a swearing-in ceremony on the 9th of May. However, TMC continues to be defiant with the Chief Minister, outgoing Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's refusal to resign. A few hours ago, the Samajwadi Party chief met the TMC leader at her residence in Kolkata to express solidarity. Thereafter, he accused the BJP and the Election Commission of committing what he called electoral fraud. Let's now also talk about what's happening down south. In Tamil Nadu, the CM chair continues to elude Vijay for now. For the second day in a row, the actor turned politician called on the Tamil Nadu governor. However, the governor made it clear that Vijay has not been able to muster the required numbers essential for forming the government. While his party, the TVK, has 108 MLAs, remember, and has backed the support of 5 Congress legislators, he is still 5 short of the halfway mark there. And there was a twist in the tale earlier, with reports suggesting back-channel talks between arch rivals AIADMK and DMK to keep the TVK out of the government. However, outgoing Chief Minister M.K. Stalin quashed that speculation by indicating that the DMK would allow Vijay to form the government and run it without any disturbance for 6 months. Meanwhile, resort politics, as it's called, is back in full swing. While the TVK MLAs are already in Puducherry, multiple AIADMK legislators were moved to a private resort as well. Although this also sparked speculation of a section of the AIADMK backing Vijay, the party eventually ruled out the possibility.
Due to the intense heat in Chennai, MLAs have said that they are staying in Puducherry. Around 40 MLAs are currently staying there. We will never support Vijay.
And amid all of this, all eyes are on the VCK, CPI and CPIM that have won 2 seats each. While they are yet to take a final call when it comes to supporting Vijay, all these parties urge the governor to invite him for government formation as leader of the single largest party. Interestingly, minority governments are not uncommon in India's history per se. What's important to note here is that they must prove majority on the floor of the House. This was also mentioned in the Supreme Court's judgment, S.R. Bommai judgment. In fact, what should the governor do then in case of a hung assembly is also the immediate question. The Punji Commission, set up to examine the relationship between the centre and the state governments, laid down the order of precedence to be followed for government formation. The first, the largest pre-poll alliance must be invited, and then preference should be given to the single largest party. Only after exhausting these possibilities, a post-poll coalition should be explored. However, past precedents of a hung assembly showing a variance in the approach of governors. For example, after the 2014 Maharashtra Assembly elections, the governor invited the BJP to form the government despite it lacking a majority. But Devendra Fadnavis managed to pass the floor test via voice note with NCP MLAs abstaining. In 2017, for example, Goa witnessed a different situation. With the Congress not being invited despite winning the largest number of seats, the BJP, with its post-poll allies, was allowed to form the government and subsequently proved its majority. In 2018, the BJP fell short of a majority in Karnataka, while the Congress and the JDU forged a post-poll alliance and crossed the majority mark in terms of the number of legislators. The governor did not accept their claim and instead invited the BJP to form the government. In the end, Yediyurappa resigned without facing a floor test. Another episode in Maharashtra in 2019, for example, while President's rule was briefly imposed with no group able to form the government, the state witnessed a sudden early morning swearing-in of Fadnavis as Chief Minister and Ajit Pawar as Deputy CM, with the governor accepting the claim of NCP support. However, the government barely lasted 80 hours, remember, as most of the NCP legislators backed out. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu Congress has called for massive protest demonstrations across district headquarters in the state on Friday. condemning the governor and the center for allegedly acting against the constitution, they say. China, meanwhile, has announced suspended death sentences for two of its former defense ministers. The move comes after China convicted them on corruption charges. This unprecedented move marking a severe escalation as President Xi Jinping's ongoing purge within the Chinese military continues. According to state media, former Chinese defense ministers Wei Fenghe and Li Shangfu were both convicted of bribery, remember, and given the death penalty with a 2-year reprieve by the country's military court. A death sentence with reprieve in China is typically commuted to life imprisonment if the offender does not commit any crime during the period of reprieve. Wei served as defense minister from 2018 to 2023, whereas Shangfu succeeded Wei and held the position for less than 8 months in 2023. Both men were placed under investigation by the military's anti-graft arm in the year 2023. And China, Xi Jinping has taken his purge of the armed forces to the very top, meanwhile. Recently, a top general of the People's Liberation Army, remember, was removed. He was not only a Politburo member, but also was long seen as an ally of Xi Jinping. And the armed forces have been just one of the many targets of a broad corruption crackdown ordered by Xi Jinping after coming to power. In 2023, for example, the purges even reached the elite rocket force, which oversees nuclear weapons as well as conventional missiles. While Xi Jinping continues to prioritize the strengthening of the military through extensive purge, the dismissal of its top-ranking commanders also raises a crucial question. Is the crackdown really helping China build a modern military, or is it just creating gaps within its command center? To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.